southern trees bear a strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scene of the gallant South, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth, scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh, then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot, for the tree to drop. Here is a strange and bitter crop.
I mean, a couple of things occurred to me really while Carl was speaking. One of them was just remembering I was in Libya myself in 1999. And it's hard for us to relate, sitting here in lives of relative opulence, it's very hard for us to understand what it means for a people to have come so far in actually such a very short amount of time, based on nothing but their own labour. You know, the people of the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union, would understand that. You know, the people of Cuba would understand it. People of liberated countries who have built lives would understand it. It's difficult for us to understand exactly what it is Libyans have lost, exactly where they were 42 years ago, before the revolution. You know, when Libya was the poorest country in the world 50 years ago, precisely because imperialism had its way, unrestricted. All of Libya's wealth went elsewhere. You know, the idea that the Financial Times can write in its headline today, you know, hooray for Gaddafi being killed because now the Libyans won't be impoverished. You know, what it really tells us is how woefully ignorant we are as a people, the British people, people in Western countries generally are, of the reality of the world, of world history. You know, how, you know, it ties into the other point I wanted to make, which is about the media. The massively important role that the media plays in making us think we know about something we don't know anything about. Who in this country knew anything about Libya's history, about its revolution, about the gains it's made in the last 40 years, about what its people have achieved, and what it stood for, and who Gaddafi was, until NATO decided to start bombing? They read a couple of articles in The Guardian or The Sun, they heard a couple of reports on the BBC or Sky, and suddenly they're experts. Everybody's perfectly sure that, well, it's not nice to bomb, but, you know, Gaddafi's an evil tyrant who does this and that. Why are they so sure? They're so sure because they are so used to accepting that if something is in our media, it's objective truth. Why do they think that? They're told it at school, it must be true. We're taught it from, you know, we get the treatment at school and it carries on throughout our lives, and until you learn to question that, you are absolutely a sheep. But if you suggest to somebody that maybe they've imbibed some prejudice and should look into it for themselves, they're outraged. People consider, you know, I'm educated, I read broadly, you know, I'm a thinking person. No one can fool me. No one can, you know, and it's another prejudice we're encouraged to have. You know, that we're all terribly good individual thinkers, and we've worked it out for ourselves. Nobody led us here, you know. And yet, when you try and cut into, you know, what it is people think they know, they can't back it up with anything. They feel comfortable feeling that they know it because everybody else around them is the same. You know, and it's so hard to break through to shake the foundations of this faith that people have in the things they think that they know. And it's the basis on which their apathy is bought. Mm. You know, on the one hand, materially their lives are decent enough that they're not really kicking off just yet. On the other hand, they are given a whole load of lies to take as their worldview, as the basis for their reality. And as long as everybody around them has the same kind of bubble of lies that they're living in and doesn't question it, they can all feel perfectly happy, go down the pub, yes, well, I don't like violence, but, you know, it's probably good that Gaddafi's gone, isn't it? Yes, it's
like
probably a good thing.
cells.
It's probably a good thing. It's not a lack of brain cells, you've got to
alcohol.
understand how things work. You know, the media plays a massive role, and we need to, if people understood how much they were being lied to, they'd be outraged, but they don't. You know, but the people who work in the media, they do. There's people there who are writing those lies. There are people there who are guilty of serious war crimes, because in order to be able to persecute this war, NATO has had to have this huge onslaught of propaganda backing it up, creating the atmosphere that says something must be done, people must be saved. Yeah? Terrible things are happening to people in Libya. It's a total lie. It's a massive fabrication. And the media is an absolute central figure. It's not just the people in the bombers. It's the people who put out the government press releases as if they were truth without questioning them. You know, the people who go and follow, you know, the Benghazi troops around, who can see with their eyes what riffraff they are, what that half of them are not even Libyans, you know, what terrible atrocities they're committing, and yet still present them to the British, you know, media-consuming public as heroes of liberation. Yeah, yeah.
Well done.
I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding